Thank you, and welcome to Eastern Michigan University's School of Music and Dance. I'm Kurt Peters. I'm a professor here on the faculty of the voice area of the School of Music and Dance, and it's a pleasure to welcome you here for the senior recital of Catherine Lietz. A senior recital is a very special event here at the school. It's the culmination of 4 hard years of work. For those of you who've got music students, you know in your family that they have to go through quite a barrage of classes to get to this point. They take more classes than typical students in terms of the numbers of classes for smaller amounts of credits. And it takes a lot of effort to get to this point. It's no small task and no small achievement to arrive at this senior recital. So we're just thrilled for Catherine that she's come to this day after all these years of work. You've heard me say this before. Catherine is part of a senior class that I had the privilege of meeting way back in 2020 in the fall, at the very beginnings of COVID, of our experience with that situation. We met online, and I had, at the time, a lot of seniors who were graduating that year, but I had all these new freshmen too. I had 6 new freshmen. And I've been, one by one, in a sense, seeing them off to their next stage of life this year. And it's hard to do that, because you make close relationships with people and you care about them. And these students have all been extraordinary in their own way. And Catherine is no exception to that rule. Catherine is a student that has shown herself to be not just a person that has an interest in music and in performing music, but also in the academic side of researching music and lecturing about it and talking about it. And many of you also know her to be a wonderful poet. This is a person who is multi-talented, multifaceted, and it's been such a pleasure as a teacher to sort of shepherd her through this process, to watch her grow over these years. And grow she has. It's been a remarkable process to watch not just her voice, but to see her growing and blooming as a person. So I know that all of you who are friends and family have seen this as well over the years. So what a joy that's been. Catherine has contributed to so many aspects of student life here. It's hard for me to even enumerate all of it, but you all know her as someone who's taken part in our weekly VAR courses, and she's also taken part in master classes and had a major role in working with people who came into town to work with our voice area. She's been a big part of the EMU choir, part of the a cappella group. She's been with Evergreen. Did she also sing with Emerald Harmony? I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, she's with Evergreen. So she's most recently performed as Papagena in Opera Workshop's presentation of The Magic Flute by Mozart, and that was a wonderful thing to see her blooming in that role. She has also contributed intellectually to the climate of our school, taking part in the undergraduate symposium, last year making a major mark with that, with her lecture, together with Thomas Lerner. So that was a joy to see her blooming in that way as well. Catherine's recital today is titled "The Fire Within Me." And I love that title because it really speaks to her passion for music and her passion for poetry, her passion for the arts in general. And I think that's very well reflected in the content of this recital, which she has carefully curated and thought through. I know that you'll enjoy this repertoire that she's presenting today. By the way, this is a kind of a unique form of the recital going on today. She's giving a lecture recital. So at a certain point, about halfway through, after the intermission, she's going to give us a little bit of talk about Irish music and the history of Irish music, and her own understanding and what she learned while she was studying in Ireland this past semester. We all missed her a great deal when she wasn't here, but she learned so much while she was there, and again, grew so much as a person, learned a lot about not just the language and the culture, but also something about the history of the music and how to perform it correctly. So she's going to be offering us some information about that and showing us some things about what she learned, which is going to be a real treat for us as an audience to see and hear. Please, if you haven't already done so, silence your phones so you don't get any extra beeps and burbles during the concert, which is being recorded and live streamed, as you can see. If you have the desire to photograph some things or video record things during this recital, please make sure your flash is turned off so we don't get any extra flashing happening either. Please reserve applause for after each set. You'll notice that there's little lines in between each group. That will be the place that applause are appropriate. She will sometimes stop and let you know that as well, so that'll be a visual cue. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome Catherine to the stage with her collaborative pianist, Hannah Bosner. Catherine leads in her senior recital, The Fire Woman.
Sfogava. Diadíomh, Aharja, Agus Céad Míle Fáilte. So that was hello, dear friends, and welcome, 1,000 welcomes, which I just said in the Irish language, which many of you might know as Gaelic. And this term Gaelic is used to refer mostly to two languages that belong to the Goidelic family of Celtic languages. So that's Irish, which I just spoke, which is spoken in Ireland, and Scots Gaelic, which is spoken in Scotland and was derived from Irish when Irish people emigrated over to Scotland over 1,000 years ago. So why am I interrupting my recital to tell you this? Well, today I'm going to be talking about some different forms of Irish song to accompany my performances of those songs, and I will be taking applause after each song in the lecture, just so you all know. And this project is to accompany my research about Irish music that I've been doing since I first started researching the Irish harp in the fall of 2022, which led to me going to Ireland and studying abroad there at Maynooth University in the fall of 2023. And this is also to help me fulfill my honors requirements for my degree. And my goal with this lecture is to shed a light on the beautiful and unique music and language of Ireland so that we can examine how it intertwines with American music and American culture. Because if you didn't know, there's a huge overlap between Irish music and American music. So first, I'm going to be talking about a traditional form of song called sean-nós, and storytelling through singing and poetry, which is what sean-nós is, has been a vital part of Ireland for thousands of years. In fact, early Irish law texts from around 700 AD say that the bards, or the singing poets, should sit with the nobility at banquets rather than with the common entertainers. So these singing poets were highly trained. They would often spend a few years in training schools before they would set off on their nomadic careers singing to the nobility around the island. And this system, unfortunately, was destroyed starting around in the 17th century due to oppression and colonialism by Great Britain. And so sean-nós is the Irish for old style, that's what it translates to. And sean-nós, this old style, is sort of referencing this old order of doing things and trying to keep it alive today in a different world. So as a result of the kind of destruction of that system, many of the poets lost their noble status and went to go live in rural areas, which is where sean-nós and much of the Irish language thrives today. So I'm going to go through a few features of sean-nós before I sing the song. Traditionally, it's a single vocal line unaccompanied by other instruments or voices. However, today, many sean-nós singers are innovating the genre by adding different vocal harmonies, different instrumental accompaniments, things like that. But this is kind of seen as controversial, especially by some sean-nós singers. Next, it is an oral tradition. So up until recently, these songs weren't written down in sheet music or anything like that. It was passed down from specific communities from generation to generation oftentimes. So for instance, Sally New Rúin, who is a sean-nós singer and professor of Irish at Maynooth University, who I learned about sean-nós from, she learned sean-nós from her mother, who learned from her mother, who learned from her mother, going way back. So that's a very common thing. And this is why we get some songs that are very specific to a certain region or town. Sometimes songs will sort of name drop different geographic features, people, things like that. Next style feature, it's in the Irish language. So there's 3 dialects of the Irish language, and each one has their own specific style of sean-nós singing. I'm not going to be getting too much into this, but the 3 dialects are Munster, Connacht, and Ulster, and these all correspond to different regions on the island of Ireland. And the piece I'm going to be singing today is not necessarily from a specific region, but the singer whose version of the song I'm basing my interpretation off of is from Munster. So he sings in the Munster dialect, so I will be singing in that dialect. Next style feature is that sean-nós songs are often highly ornamented. And this ornamentation is often highly personal and based on the singer's emotions during the song. So a song can be slightly different each time it's performed, which is really interesting. And just a few words on some of the subject matter of these songs. Some of them deal with darker subjects like death and famine and war. But other songs are a lot more lighthearted and comical and talk about love, and there are even songs that sort of praise specific people in the community. So what does sean-nós look like today? But today, Ireland is mostly English-speaking. According to the 2022 census, the number of daily Irish speakers outside the education system was about 71,000 people. Now, the population of the entire island of Ireland is around 5 million. So that's a pretty big disparity today. However, that doesn't account for speakers who maybe speak every day in the education system and are learning it through there, or things like that. So that number would be a little higher, but there are regions in Ireland called the Gaeltacht, which are communities in Ireland that are Irish-speaking, and much work has been done in these communities to keep sean-nós alive. And sean-nós songs are often taught to school children. There's competitions that draw competitors from all over the world. And today, because of our globalized world, you don't have to be Irish to sing sean-nós, which I'm hoping to show you all. And many thanks to my friend Matilda from Maynooth, who helped me with the pronunciation of this song that I'll be singing. It's called Casadh and tSúgáin, means the twisting of the straw rope. And if you'd like to learn more about the history of Casadh and tSúgáin specifically, I'd like to direct you to my program notes. I talk a little bit more specifically about the song. But without further ado, here is Casadh and tSúgáin.
Small
song called Rúin, which translates to Walk My Love from Irish. And it's a very well-known song. Some of you might know it. It's been covered by lots of different artists, such as Celtic Woman, lots of other Irish traditional music groups. And this song has English language verses with an Irish refrain. So the verses are in English, and the chorus, or the refrain, is in Irish. And it was not uncommon for Irish songs to be sort of translated into English like this while maintaining their Irish refrain. And the origins of the song are not really well known. However, there is an American folk song called Johnny Has Gone for a Soldier that has a very similar melody and lyrics to Siúil. And it's been covered by artists like Judy Collins and Peter, Paul, and Mary. So, just kind of bringing back that overlap between Irish and American music. Today, my performance of Siúil will be accompanied by Tristan from the Detroit Irish Music Association, who will be playing a traditional Irish drum called the bowron. And the bowron is a framed drum, typically made of goat skin, where one hand is placed inside the drum to control pitch and timbre, and the skin can also be tightened and loosened, which helps with the timbre of it as well. And the drum is struck with a small wooden stick called a tipper, and sometimes the tipper has a brush or other materials on the top of it to, again, create different sounds. A few words about the origins of the bowron. Its origins aren't entirely well known. Some musicians think it evolved from a tambourine. Others think that it has been an ancient instrument used by the ancient Celts. And others think that it came from like a food serving tray. So, although we know for sure really is that it rose to prominence in the 1960s and 70s with the revival of Irish traditional music, spearheaded by Irish composer and musician Sean O'Riordan. And now, today it can be seen accompanying Irish traditional music at countless sessions, competitions all over the world. And again, for more information about Siúil, I'd like to direct you again to my program notes. But here is Siúil. Thank you so much. So for my final little lecture portion, I've talked a lot about folk music in Ireland, but Western classical music also plays a huge role in the musical landscape of Ireland. In fact, a fun fact is that Handel's Messiah actually was first performed in Dublin at the Great Music Hall in 1742, and its London premiere didn't happen until a year later. So classical music has had a huge part in the history of Ireland as well. And many different Irish classical composers like to incorporate Irish traditional music, history, mythology, all of these things into their music, including Patrick Casadh, who is the composer of the aria I will be singing today. It's called Na Bris Andiu Mochridze, and it comes from his 1998 cantata Deirdre of the Sorrows, which is based on a tale from Irish mythology called Longus MacNishlin, which translates to the exile of the sons of Ishlú. And I actually was lucky enough to get to speak with Patrick Casadh about this piece, and he informs me that the tale of Deirdre is one of the three tales known as the Sorrows of Ireland. So these are sort of tales that embody kind of just sorrow and those kinds of things. And so that concept is what drew him to write the music for this tale. And just some context about Irish mythology is that it can be thought of as similar to Greek mythology in that the stories were likely shared orally before they were written down in manuscripts. And the places and the characters in Irish mythology often reoccur through different tales. So kind of in like a multiverse of madness situation. And so this tale, Longus MacNishlin, comes from the Ulster cycle of Irish mythology, which means that the stories take place in Ulster, which I said earlier is one of the regions of Ireland in the north. And these stories also take place in a pre-Christian Ireland, so you'll see lots of druids, things like that in these stories. And the oldest version of the story was found in a manuscript called the Book of Leinster, and this is the text that Patrick Casadh used to compose his cantata. There have been many different versions since then, where authors will kind of add things, but I'm just talking about the oldest version of the tale that we have. And this text is actually in Old Irish, which is slightly different from modern Irish, and it was spoken between around 600 to 900 AD. So thank you to the Old Irish department at Maynooth for helping me with pronunciation, because it is different from Irish. And there is a synopsis also of the entire tale at the end of the program notes if you would like to read it. So just a few words on the legacy of Longus MacNishlin. It's a very dark tale. It's one of the sorrows of Ireland. It's very violent. And this tale's become really popular. It's been adapted into lots of different media, books, plays, things like that, including a play by William Butler Yeats, very famous author, wrote a play called Deirdre in 1907. Kind of helped bring Deirdre to the modern audiences. And if you notice, the original title of the tale doesn't even have Deirdre's name in it, but today we've kind of pivoted to put her at the forefront. She's become a very interesting mythological figure for Ireland. And for many modern audiences, Deirdre can represent the fight to pursue your own will and break free from your oppressors. And in my opinion, myths and legends can act as mirrors. And when we study them, we can learn more about ourselves and how to build a better world. And coincidentally, music is also a great way to do that too. So, go Ramila Magwib. That was 1,000 thank yous to you all for listening. This concludes the lecture portion of my recital. And here is Na Bris Andiu Mochridze.
while I have our memories. I need a task to do. Someone give me a task to do. I need a... I thought that somehow we would always have forever. I thought the promises we made would have a different end. I thought the love we shared would keep us as we were. It was the fire within me. We dreamed and plotted with abandon in this attic. When we were gathered here, the room became our citadel. We
just want to say some thank yous. First of all, thank you so much to Tristan, who accompanied me. Such a dream come true to have like an Irish instrument on my recital, so it was just incredible. So thank you so much. So I just thank Hannah, my amazing accompanist. So difficult, and she's so talented and incredible to work with, so I'm so lucky to work with her. And I'd also like to thank Professor Peters. He's my voice professor and has been for the last 4 years. Thank you so much to all my amazing friends. I love you more than I could ever try to express via words. And same with my amazing family. I love you all so much. And yeah, now I'd like to invite Claire and Audrey up for our last song. And there are cupcakes in the reception hall after, so please come.